name is Hayden Holm, and today I am joined by a fantastic panel of brethren. We've got with us Sam St. Laurent from Through the Mist. And I'll say Samuel because he typed out Samuel on his little card there. So we've also got David at Sword of Laban. Go check out his YouTube channel and subscribe. And we also have Roy from the Iron Rodcast. So please check out his YouTube channel as well. And today we are gathered together to talk about the Great Backpedal. That's what I'm calling it. And basically, there was the other day, I was on my feed. We had a big week for the church. There was the Michigan shooting, and then after the Michigan shooting, it looked like something happened in the realm of the anti-content. And we're going to take a look at that, and I want to get your reaction. So let me share my screen, and we'll get this party started. Okay. Also, Roy has grown out his mustache. I'm still geeking out about it. You kind of look like Billy from Stranger Things, you know? The character that every woman was swooning over. Yeah.
I need longer hair for that, dude. Listen, this took, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I've been MIA for a while because this took me 4.5 weeks. So.
You're committed to the bid. Yeah. Okay, here we go. All right, let me know if you can see that. Okay. Hold.
There we go.
Yep. There it is.
Okay, boom. There it is. So this is a gal. We've covered her content before. She does the Girls Camp podcast. I would consider this an anti-channel. And she has been on... Before we covered the episode we did with her, she was anxiety cleaning the closet because she has existential anxiety sometimes because she realizes that she no longer has the answers to life's biggest questions. So
wait, that was her?
Instead of grappling with those questions, she just takes to her closet. She's like, ah! And then she runs over to her closet and starts cleaning it with her followers.
I had no idea that was Girls Camp Podcast. We were doing that. You were telling me about a girl you saw. I didn't know it was her. That's hilarious.
Yeah. This is the gal. So so the Michigan shooting came out, and this is the content that she put out after that shooting. The first half of the video, we did cut this because she did drop the F word. And we are, for the most part, a family channel. So I cut that out, but the first part is that she is terrified. She is saddened by the tragedy, which is an appropriate response, 100%. Glad to hear that. She said this is terrible, tragic. It was really upsetting because she has a lot of family members that are members of the church, and so it was upsetting for her. That would have been a great place to cut the video, but we're going to see what else she had to say.
We got no audio on my end, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
No
not
audio?
anything.
Oh, egg on my face. Hold on.
I saw this first post. I had no idea. I really didn't watch much of it because it was kind of like I just felt like it was a nothing burger. It's very random that she's like, oh, all of a sudden Mormons are great. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let me know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Can see it.
Great. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
Mormons. How defensive that makes me feel as someone who was Mormon, did a Mormon mission, all the things, believed in Jesus Christ. Mormons are not that different from Christians. To see Christians like behaving that way towards Mormons is very bizarre and very upsetting. These are my people, and I experienced Mormonism firsthand, and I can make light of it and critique it in a way that feels different. I've gotten some DMs and comments, and I've talked to other people in this ex-Mormon space that they have gotten comments that it is the ex-Mormons, it's people like me who fueled that act of violence. That is so upsetting. I know that it is not true. The last thing on planet Earth I want is violence. This is so terrifying and so grief-ridden. And so to feel lumped in with this like hatred, it feels like really unfair. Not that this is even about me. These are just the thoughts that I've been having. It's really caused me to reflect on how I want to show up here, how I want to still stand for what I believe in and stand for accountability while also not just fueling division. Right now, the Mormon Church is actively fighting at a legal level against trans rights. We see this organization causing harm to already marginalized groups, which they have already done in the past. There's still this harm being caused, but then there's this love and care toward the community. And it's just a lot. So I'm going to stop myself there and hope that any of this made sense.
Okay, guys, first reactions. First, let's answer that question. Did any of that make sense to you?
Well, she started in a really good place. And to her credit, to her eternal credit, she's reflecting, right? She's thinking
Yes.
about the path of her feet. And rather than just forging ahead and continuing, waking up the next day and doing the same thing she did the day before, she's thinking about things. And at the same time, as she's got these people that she loves that are in the bucket of Mormon, and these people that are being called hateful that are in the bucket of anti-Mormon, and she's kind of torn between the two because she doesn't want to be in this bucket and she doesn't want to be in this bucket. And so she doesn't want to be called anti-Mormon. And we've got lots of thoughts on this, but anti-Mormon is not a derogatory term. It's just simply a precise term. It's a term that expresses somebody. It doesn't express someone that's ex-Mormon. You can totally just leave the church. And you can be never a member of the church and not be anti-Mormon. That's the majority of the population of the planet. But there are a few people that make it their mission to fight against the church, and those are anti-Mormons. And so if you're against the doctrine in your heart, you're not anti-Mormon necessarily, at least according to my rubric. But if you're against the doctrine in your heart and you make other people know that and you want them to be against the doctrine too, that's what pushes you into the bucket of anti-Mormon. Right. I know that, I've had this discussion on my channel a few times in the comments where somebody will say, oh, I don't like the label anti-Mormon. And, well, then what should we use, right? Like, I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with that. It doesn't seem like it's that emotionally charged to me. So the back and forth goes, well, is there a better word? Give me a better word. And they're usually something like, hey, truther or something. And I'm like, no.
Right.
Give me a word that is precise, that I can't use for myself, right? Something that, and I think words matter. Words are important. We can't take precision out of our language to satisfy somebody's feelings necessarily. Anyway, I've gone on for a while. I kind of veered off of your original question.
No,
but
this is all good.
I've had this back and forth a few times, and I honestly don't know a better word.
You set me up just like a T-ball, okay? And so here we go. The T-ball, we are teeing it up for John DeLynn because he had that exact same question too. What does it really mean to be anti-Mormon? Well, let's ask John, who asked Julie.
And do you have strong feelings about the term?
Yeah, I do. I think it means you are against the Mormon faith or the Mormon people, right? And I've been called that, and it makes no sense to me because I am for the like all of my work has been to help the Mormon people be healthier, particularly women in their relationships and their faith journeys, right? It's like all about supporting the Mormon people. So I'm like, how could I be against the people that I'm passionate about supporting? It makes zero sense. But I think people equate anti-Mormon with any type of criticism, and that's where there's the confusion, right? Anybody who criticizes the church gets labeled as anti-Mormon, but that is, criticism is not anti-Mormonism.
Okay, all right. So she says it's criticism. Criticism is what is currently being labeled as anti-Mormonism, and she's just saying, anti-Mormon, little old me? Julie Hanks, Dr. Julie Hanks? I go to sleep in a pantsuit at night. I can't be anti-Mormon. And John DeLynn's over there like, what does this term even mean? We did get a super chat from Kiori. He said, Revelation 3:16 applies, I think. I don't know if any of you have that off the top of your head. Revelation 3:16.
I can pull it open if you don't have it already.
Let's pull it open.
No, perhaps this is like a Utah thing, but are they just using the term Mormon like the people that live there? Do they consider themselves like Jews? Like it's an ethnicity or something, or like an ethnic group?
So that, okay,
Because that's how it's sounding like a lot like that. Like, oh, I'm for the Mormon people. It's like, wait, no. You're anti-Mormon, which is anti the church, which is actually what you are. You're not anti the people that like live in Utah. Like, that's not what we're talking about. And I feel like when Julie Hanks is talking about that, or sorry, Dr. Julie Hanks was talking about that.
Hey.
Don't want to strip her of that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
you.
I might, after I get my master's, I might try to go online and get my doctorate too, so you guys can call me Dr. St. Laurent.
Well,
it's just
The doctors I respect are the ones that don't call themselves doctor. But keep going.
It sounds a lot like they're like conflating this term Mormon with the people that just are there and have lived in this area for a long time. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that are
Correct, but
a correct term I think for John Dehlin would not be anti-Mormon, it would be anti-Christ. Specifically for John Dehlin. Well, no, I mean specifically for John Dehlin, that would be more accurate.
Let's actually
because
look at it. Yeah,
he's actually anti-Christ. Like actually anti-Christ.
He's pulling people away from belief in Jesus Christ. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. He himself said like the atonement of Christ is like a bad thing.
Insidious.
It's a negative.
He said it's an insidious doctrine.
Yeah. So he's actually antichrist.
So whoever sent in the Revelation 3:16, you freaking rock, dude.
Yeah, what did it say?
Should we read it? You got it?
Yeah.
It says, so then, because thou art lukewarm, I will spew thee out of my mouth. It's so interesting. Like, are we acting like there's no such thing as an anti-Mormon? Because people will be like, well, what even is anti-Mormon? I know that they're out there. I'm not one. I'm just...
Have you guys
John
ever
Dehlin
seen
says,
them? Like there's some kind of mystical animal in the woods?
Yeah.
You know, I seen him one time, caught him on a trail cam. And I saw him in the backwoods when I was hunting. I saw one of them anti-Mormons back there. But it's so funny because they're sitting in a room full of them and they're like, wait a second.
Yeah, it's just the mirror that they see
Have you guys ever
reflecting
seen an
themselves.
anti-Mormon?
No, well, John Dehlin literally says, like, I think we should start calling ex-Mormons, like, post-Mormons and not anti-Mormons. We should say maybe critical Mormons. It's like, how close to anti can you get Mormon? What are we talking about right now?
Don't you think there needs to be a distinction, though? Because there are plenty of ex-Mormons, and I don't care if we call them ex-Mormons, anti-Mormons, Latter-day Aints, former Mormons, Fomans, beer drinkers, non-TBMs, post-Mormons. I don't really care. Like, they're actually fine. I'm fine with them existing in the world. I'm also, fine with anyone existing in the world. But the thing that causes problems to true believing members is this flood of truly anti-Mormon, not ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon content online, right? So if that's not a good word, give me a better word, because there needs to be some precision. I think if you take out precision from language, if you remove words from language, it's like the word police trying to remove certain words about gender from the language, and Canada passed some laws and so forth. Like, if you can't have that much power on free speech, because it's important, not for hate reason. We're not being hateful by saying anti-Mormon. We're being precise by saying we're expressing something, and we're able to understand each other, right? If there's a better word for that, sure, but no one to date has given me a better word. That doesn't just mean ex-Mormon, or doesn't just mean truther, or something that is not precise, right?
Well, that's another. Okay, I wanted to.
Yeah,
sorry, Hayden. Oh, I just wanted to bring up the. If so, John Dehlin. This. I wish I could ask him this question. Do you believe the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? They won't call it that. But do you believe the church is an abusive cult that systemically abuses children? And if you say yes to that, why wouldn't you be anti that group? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was like, oh, there's this that is an abusive cult that systemically abuses children and then covers it up. Guess what? I don't like that group. Like, I'm anti that. I don't think anyone should systemically abuse. So John has put himself in this weird place where he's saying, no, the church is an abusive cult that systemically abuses children, but I am pro that. What? What do you mean? That's you're lying about one of those things.
In a Mark Driscoll place right now, where he's like, "Oh crap!" Because the thing is, I think before the shooting, they probably would have come out and embraced the term anti-Mormon. I think they would have been like, "Yeah, you know what? I am anti-Mormon." But as soon as that shooting happened, and they realized that words have consequences, and they realized that, and I'm not suggesting that their content specifically is what drove the shooter to do what he did. But I will say it would be interesting to do what the Girls Camp Podcast gal did, to reconsider how she's going to show up online. Because both she and Julie Hanks were saying, whoa, anti, no, I love these people. They're my family members. I was raised in this community. I love these people. I was a part of this church. However, at the very end, she was like, they are still causing harm to people. And they are still, and it's like, wait. I don't know that you can have both of those. I don't know that you can say, I love the church. I love the people. They've got some great things going on. Terrible, horrible, awful people, because there are people that are being radicalized right now that are hearing like terrible, horrible, awful. So if they would have heard the Girls Camp Podcast saying this institution causes harm to people, would that make that shooter more or less likely to go after that church on Sunday? And that's the question that the content creators should be asking themselves is if my content was heard by a radicalized person in the algorithms, would they be more or less likely to commit some heinous act of violence based off of what I'm saying about this group of people?
Yeah, and we're forgetting the queen of anti-Mormonism, Alyssa Grenfell, because she coined, I don't know if you guys remember, do you remember that? Where she was like, oh, all Mormons look the same. In Utah, like they're all blonde hair, blue eyed, this Mormon, whatever. And then when people were like, why is that the case? She said, it's because they're inbred. So let's add inbred to, like she said, now we're in an abusive inbred cult that abuses children systemically. And people are hearing, and then at the very end of the whole thing, and at the very, very end, they're like, but there are some good ones out there. I have friends that are Mormons. You're like, what do you mean? What are we talking about right now? It's ridiculous. You just said the most heinous things about my whole entire identity, and then you're like, no, but don't worry, there are a couple that are okay. It's like, sounds anti to me. At least, definitely not pro, and not neutral either.
Julie Hanks, Dr. Julie Hanks is not exempt from that either. But to say that you are for the people is disingenuous, I think, right? But everyone is for the people. Like, unless you're a horrible person that goes around torturing babies and shooting baby deer, like, you're for other people. You want other people to succeed. You want other people to be their best. You might have different priorities in terms of what you think is best. So that doesn't actually distinguish you very much, right? And you've made it your life's work to help people online that are leaving the church or faith transitions and so forth. Well, there's plenty of people that make it their life works to sit in a therapist's office and help people there, and they're all for the people they're helping too. But that's disingenuous. It's not a way to distance yourself from, like, if you're against the doctrine, you're anti-Mormon. It's not if you're against the people. No one is against the people. Very few people, I would say, are actually against people as a rule. They want the people to do the best they can do within their priority framework.
People, right? Like, he was not going after specific people. He was shooting indiscriminately. He was going after the institution. So that's why, like, he wasn't going, he didn't have a hit list or anything like that. It was just like, anyone in this institution is worthy of my rage right now. And that's the dangerous thing. So there was this little sleight of hand that happened in these videos. Both of them said, like, oh, no, I'm not anti. I'm not causing harm. Of course not little old me. I'm just critiquing. Both of them just, and this is why I call this the Great Backpedal, because everyone is completely backpedaling what they're actually doing right now. They're saying, no, I'm just critiquing. I'm criticizing the church over some things that I may not agree with, And so I'm really not anti. I'm just critiquing. But by their fruits ye shall know them. So let's look at the fruits. So Julie is saying, I'm just criticizing the church. I'm just critiquing the church. And so I don't think we should call anyone anti who is just critiquing. But you look at what she's actually doing. She is pushing a radicalized feminist ideology, and she is actively helping people leave the church, right? So she has pushed a lot of people. And this isn't me just making conjecture. This is out of her own mouth. She says, I help people in faith crisis to transition out of the Mormon church. This is how this is how her bread is buttered right now. Is she takes people who are going through a really hard time. She says, you know what? Let's just help you get right out of the church. And let's just help you right into these other ideologies that I believe are better for you. Because there's a DR right in front of my title. You see that? And so this is what's going on. So the fruit of Dr. Julie is working actively against the church, because the church's mission is the salvation and exaltation of man, women, and children all over, all around the earth. And hers is saying, let's get you right out of that institution. And so I would consider that if you are working against the mission of the church and pulling people away and labeling this church as a terrible, horrible, bigoted, old-fashioned, misogynistic institution, I would say that's probably going to qualify as anti. But am I crazy at that?
No, like it's like if I told you, whoa, I'm not pro LDS, I'm not pro Mormon. Okay, I understand that the Mormon church has done bad things. I'm not pro. I'm neutral. I do though. Make sure I pay my tithing. I go to the temple. I go fulfill my calling. I do my ministering, and I also go to church every single Sunday. Yeah, I'm not pro LDS. Whoa, I sustain the prophet. I'm not pro LDS.
Right.
Good way to put it.
That's a fantastic way of putting it.
So we got a few chats here. I could read a few of them.
Yeah, that'd
if you
be great.
like. Yeah. So Jeffrey Borders is asking if, after you get your doctorate, Sam, if you'll be his life coach.
Ooh.
I think I will branch into that, definitely. Yeah, I'm actually currently looking to see if I can get this degree concurrently with my master's via an online program somewhere. I think it's possible. I'll be willing.
This degree meaning life coach degree?
Yeah, the life coach doctorate,
official
doctor of
coach.
life coaching. Yeah.
Well, hey,
Okay.
real quick. I don't really think you need a doctorate for that. If you have $15 in a free weekend, you can go to Udemy. They have sales all the time. They're great sales. You can just drop $15 and immediately start building up your downstream. It's fantastic.
I don't want to disparage Dr. Julie Hanks's degree. I'm just saying, like, what separates me from her academically is me going online and getting this degree. All right? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Fair.
But she does have 30 years
that.
of helping people get out of the church. So she does have that on her side.
Okay, so RWWON says, everyone is critical of the church in some respect or another. I think that's actually true. Even myself, there are things...
Yes.
I am a true believing member. Absolutely. But there are certain things, particularly sometimes about culture or behavior of individual people or something, that my criticism level isn't at 0% all the time. Anyway, RWWON says that perhaps there is a threshold that pushes them into the anti-bucket. Gambalicious says Julie isn't helping family or women, and she talks out both sides of her mouth. Curie points out no one wants to see abuse, period. It's not that we're for abuse, therefore we are anti-Mormon.
And now that's the interesting thing, because that's actually how a lot of the anti-channels and anti-voices will frame the content. They start framing the discussion as this is a hateful, harmful institution. And I actually, it's funny because if you scroll down from that one post that we showed of the girls' camp, you can see like 2 or 3 reels that specifically talk about why she thinks the church is a harmful institution. And so that's the interesting part. Is she's saying, oh, this is terrible that this happened. But they are causing harm. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's like, well, let's. You got to pick a lane. Just tell me which way you're going. But you can't say I'm not anti, but the institution is causing harm. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I just speak to that a little bit? This word harm, it's kind of like people throwing around the word Nazi, like this person is a Nazi or something. It really diminishes the meaning of English words when you use a word that is not clearly what it's supposed to say. So I'm not saying there isn't harm that happens between any individual and any other individual on the planet, including within and without the church. What I am saying is that when something of true harm actually happens, like somebody goes with a gun into a church and shoots children and women and men indiscriminately and then sets the place on fire, and then you go and say, I'm not causing any harm, well, not you individually, but the whole rhetoric is presumably seeping into the psyche of the world and of people like this that is causing them to do things and causing them to do true harm. So you can't really wash your hands completely of the word harm and just say, I'm not doing harm.
Well,
if
and
we
it's
all
not
had-
causing,
if we
it's
all
not
had the-
deterring.
If we all had the sort of Laban's accent, our words wouldn't do harm ever. I think probably. Maybe that's the issue. That's the problem.
100%, yeah. Awesome. Any other?
Well, if
chats
I
we
just
need
had
to catch up
Dr.
on?
Julie Hanks' degree, then I would actually know what I'm talking about. So there's
no,
a lot of
no,
things that we
no,
wish we had.
Yeah.
So David, what do you think about the word safe then? Because I know she in particular always talks about the word safe. Like, I don't feel safe here.
right.
I don't feel safe there.
Yeah. If there are unsafe places in the church, we need to stamp them out. The four of us, the rest of the faithful members, like, that's not something that should be tolerated ever in Christ Church. But let me tell you an anecdote or a story. My daughter went to girls' camp, young women's camp, for the first time this year. It was her first year of being old enough. And prior to that, they said, write a letter so the girls can open it on the third day or whatever. So it doesn't make them, so they're not homesick, and just be your testimony. The theme of it was Christ, I think the light of the world or something like that. And write a letter and bear your testimony of Christ. And I was like, great. So I started writing a letter, but then I'm like, I wonder what other people have written, because, I'm just kind of rambling here, and maybe I can get some ideas by Googling around. And I went online and didn't ask ChatGPT. I just asked Google, like, what kinds of letters. I just wanted to ask, is this a normal, I didn't know that you write letters to your girls on girls' camp. I thought it was a great idea, and I was in the process of doing it. But then I read, I don't remember who, but somebody was saying that she wrote a letter for her daughter in girls' camp, in young women's camp, that said about all the hate, the harm that the church was causing, and it's sort of an anti-testimony. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that you can be that deranged to do that kind of thing to a child that is going to a truly good experience. My daughter, along with hundreds of others at that camp, and presumably tens of thousands of others in the world, go and have this wonderful experience. And maybe there's one episode or something where something goes wrong, there's the wrong leader in the wrong place at the wrong time, a wicked man, and there's something bad happens and there's true harm. Or maybe like two girls bully another girl, and we should stamp that out too, just like we should anywhere in church or school or anywhere. But just because the one thing happens the one time, meanwhile 10,000 other women or girls have a wonderful experience and strengthen their testimony. Like, you can't be fighting against the one all the time when you've got such good on the other side of the scales. It just doesn't make sense to me. So,
Yeah. No, I get that. And the other word that I've noticed that I feel like is losing its meaning is trauma. And this has become really, really, really popular, especially with the doctors, the educated class. They keep slipping this word trauma into everything. It's kind of like, have you guys, are you big into Hobby Lobby? You guys go to Hobby Lobby? I know David's probably not going there too much these days.
Oh,
except
yes,
maybe,
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have two
So going
girls,
to Hobby
so
Lobby,
we're into
yeah.
that.
Okay, all right. Have you noticed that gnomes seem to be getting into every single holiday? Maybe this was just like a fad. Maybe it's just in Texas, but gnomes seem to be getting into everything.
They're invading holidays.
Yeah, the gnome salesperson has to be having a banner year because they're everywhere. They are absolutely everywhere. And I look at this and I'm like, man, it's exactly like religious trauma. So trauma is just like the gnomes right now. So trauma is getting everywhere. There's religious trauma right now that they just keep saying like, oh, this is I had religious trauma because my mom and dad made me go to church as a kid and learn the virtues, and that was traumatic for me, and showing up on Sunday and going to Mutual and being told that I had to cover my shoulders. That was traumatic. And that's we did a whole episode on that, so be sure to check it out. But there are absolutely this corruption of words, and that you see it all over the internet as well, the word trauma. Kids saying like, I had childhood trauma, we've completely lost what that word actually means. There are people that go to war, they have actual traumatic experiences, and that's why we did that. There was a little bit that we did in that episode where we showed like a happy family jumping through a field, and then we contrasted that with a bunch of soldiers in World War I in a muddy pit in a trench that had like trench foot. One of them had his leg amputated. The other one was just sitting there. And it's like, wait a second, which one of these is actual trauma? Let's just sit back and think about this for a second. You know, and so therapists nowadays,
Let me consult Johnny Harris on that one.
Yeah, exactly. He's sitting there staring sadly at the camera thinking like, I had a traumatic childhood. How do I ever overcome this grief? And it's, you look at the actual fruit, you see, and that's where you actually consider the path of your feet, because you're looking at the fruit of that belief system. What did it actually do for you? It made you super popular. It instilled virtues in you. It helped you to become successful. Alyssa Grenfell, she married someone who is going to stay faithful to her, who was raised with her same values. They now have a healthy, happy family because she was raised in the church. And now her whole mission is to destroy the church. And so she is still making money off of the church these days. I don't know if she realizes that, but the church is still the greatest blessing in her life. Because if the church were gone,
well put.
She would have nothing. She would have absolutely goose egg right now.
Literally,
because she would have
no channel.
Because she like if they
funny.
destroyed it and she kept creating content like, hey, did you guys know that Crumble Cookie is tied to church members who believe in the word of wisdom? And it's like, yeah, Alyssa, that was the church was destroyed 2 months ago. We don't have to talk about this anymore. She'd be like, oh no. You mean I have to go live life like an actual person? I have to get a 9 to 5? Crap.
Well, like another thing that's really frustrating to me is whenever people say things about the church, a lot of the times members, at least in comment sections, whatever, the rebuttal is, if you said this about a black person or a Jew, this would be canceled immediately. And then the anti-Mormon person, their rebuttal to that is, do you really think you've had as much persecution as black people or Jews? No. So, like, I don't know how to respond to that. But then they go off and they go, I have PTSD from having to sit in sacrament meeting. Do you think your sacrament meeting experience is the same as someone who was on Pearl Harbor? Like, what are we talking about right now?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
funny comment from the brother of Jared. He speaks of this. Some Vietnam vet with PTSD sitting in church next to that poor kid who couldn't drink coffee. They are the same.
They are equal
And
in
then-
trauma.
Yeah, I see the
Kiori asks, are we sure it's not just the Utah accent and they're actually saying drama instead of trauma?
Oh, hey. I have never considered
Could be. I'm
is.
not good to judge this. I've got the wrong accent in the first place.
I'm sorry my mic is popping, but you're on to something, David. You got it, bro. They're saying drama. They're saying drama.
Oh, that's Kiori. But yeah, they're saying
Yeah,
drama.
Kiori.
That makes sense. So we can end the stream because it all
There
clicked
it is.
suddenly.
It's all just a Utah accent. There
might
might
even be-
mountains and creek.
Yeah, there might be
Saying
even
Leighton.
a new slogan of consider the accent of your voice.
Yeah. Hey, there we go. Yeah. Oh, they're saying commandment. They don't say the whole commandment. They say commandment.
Yeah. Commandment. I follow.
And then it's Mills on Dills. They Mills. Hey, we're gonna bring by some Mills later on. You know, I got some good dills on Sam's Club Pizza, so we'll bring those Mills over to you. So anyway, but anyway.
Well, but
I
it
love
is
that.
interesting. I think the end of the conversation has to come to this idea of, are there levels to this? Like, are you anti-Mormon, but you don't realize it, but there are levels to this? And if they don't think that there are levels to it, then we're talking about the same thing where when they say, I have PTSD from the church, if there's no levels to this, you can only have the most or none, then you're comparing your PTSD to that of a soldier, right? So if you're saying, oh, I'm not anti-Mormon, I'm just critical of the church. Okay, there's levels to this. Like, yes, you are anti-Mormon. Just own it. Stop being a pansy. Just own. You are. I don't hate you for it, but now we can at least have a conversation, because the second we have a conversation and then I go, oh, here's a great thing about the church, and you go, no, the church sucks because of this, but you're a good guy. Like, what are we, like, I'm part of this church.
The problem is we keep inventing words. That's the big problem, because the way that they get around that is they say this is little t trauma or soft trauma, and then you have hard trauma, right? And so they're saying war is hard trauma, religious trauma is more soft t, little t trauma, you know, that it just made you feel a little icky, a little stressed out, you know. And that's the problem with modern society, is that we keep creating words for things that don't need to be named. So we have a word today to illustrate my point. There's a word today that did not exist a while back. Do you know what that word is? It's co-sleeping. It's when your children sleep in your bed with you as the parent. Do you know what we called that back in my day? A mistake. A huge mistake. Okay? So we keep making up all these words. We gotta kill it with the words. Like, no, it's just a mistake. That's all it is. But we get people out here just like constantly trying to think of new ways to create content, to try and think of new things, to make new things happen, you know, and they're like, oh, co-sleeping, perfect, you know, and so they get it into Instagram, they publish it. A bunch of moms out there that are trying to rationalize why their kids won't sleep in their own beds are saying, oh, that's what I do. See, it was intentional. Ha ha, you know, and that's the problem where we get into, you know, and then people come out and they're like, hey, let's do studies on this and let's just try and legitimize it as much as it. No, it's just a mistake, and that's okay.
Oh,
Any
man,
other
we
chats
could
that
almost
we could catch up on?
we could almost end on that. It's a mistake.
No. Like we keep creating all these words. Like John DeLynn, that's what he's doing right now. He's saying like we need to create a new term for us because anti feels too strong. So
Yeah.
the term he thought of was truther. We want to be a
Well,
truther.
Kiori said, maybe we could take a cue from John DeLynn and come up with a "What kind of anti-Mormon are you?" quiz.
Oh, hey.
I
there you
would
go.
love that. That would be hilarious. That'd be awesome.
Right. How would that quiz end? Like, what are the results? What are the different anti-Mormons? And maybe the chat can help us out with this.
Oh yeah, what are some of the names, bro? Because like, yeah, that'd be hilarious
Like,
if it was
would
be
it be
like,
like a scale of like from a scale of, you know, girls camp to Alyssa Grenfell? Would it be like a scale to like ex-members? Like what's the scale? What are the results of this quiz?
No, we got to create cool names like Master Commander Anti-Mormon, Commander-in-Chief Anti-Mormon, Tribalist Anti... like have like levels. We badge them.
Yeah.
We can give them badges. We'll make shirts if they want. That'd be awesome.
Hey, there we go. So on a scale
And
of
so-
I'm
well,
seeing
we've been-
progmos, exmos, anti. So I guess that's the scale. Are you just a progmo? Are you anti? Are you ex? Where are you on this scale?
Right, and while we've been discussing this, I've been on that bastion of truth Reddit, and I've been to the brightest corner of the internet, r/ex-Mormon, and there's several posts where people are asking, do you like the word anti-Mormon? Do you not? And it's all over the place. Some people are like, yeah, it's anti-Mormon. Other people are like, no, that's so loaded with terms, like with meaning that I don't like the word anti-Mormon. Other people are like, I'm pro-truth. But so far, I haven't found a single person that has a better word for it. A lot of people just say, let's just get rid of all the labels altogether. Like, why do we even need labels in this world? Well, turns out we communicate with language. We talk to each other. And when I say something and you hear something or vice versa, we generally need to be understood. So we have like a system of understanding each other. And if you just delete words from that vocabulary, you stop being able to understand each other anymore. And I'm sure that if I was anti-Mormon, I probably would want to delete that label so that we can cast up this cloud, this fog of war. So it's even more confusing than it is now to somebody that hasn't like actually kind of engaged with both sides and found where they're at. So anyway, ex-Mormon Reddit doesn't have an answer for us, unfortunately.
Gambalicious says we should call him Joe Mama Mormon, and that's gas.
Hey, there we go.
And then
you hear that, Gambalicious? That is Gen Z approved.
That's gas, bro. And then we got Antonites, like anti-Mormonites.
The Antonites.
That's gas too.
All
Dude,
right.
You know what? It could be fun though. Like, this is another thing. It could be so fun. It could be like, oh, I'm an Antonite. Oh my gosh. Get Dogma too. Can they canonize the CES letter? Can they please canonize the CES letter? That would be so dope. That'd be
Just
way more
making it
fun.
their own religion.
Yes, just dive in. You don't even have to call a prophet. Just canonize the CES letter, and then use like John DeLink can be like your who's that? Hugh Nibley. John is your Nibley, I guess you could say. That's what maybe kind of ish, because he goes into like the theology of anti-Mormonism. You know, let's just do it
John
somehow.
too much credit. He is a life coach after all. So
Oh,
maybe-
touche. Sorry,
Yeah, there
sorry.
we go.
I could think of a couple of other people that would be better equivalents to Hugh. Nibley, but-
Who would be the Hugh Nibley of anti-Nemo?
I don't think. No, definitely not him. I don't want to say the names on this live stream.
Good for you,
I have a
Sam.
couple queued up.
Do
in my
you
head,
really
though.
think, though? I don't know about you guys, how you feel when you listen to truly amazing, like, gospel truth and knowledge, just mind expanding. Sometimes Hugh Nibley, you read something, you hear something. That's just one example. Hugh Nibley. There's plenty of other times where I learn about the gospel and my mind is just expanded beyond limit, and then the next time it's expanded even more. And then contrast that with what happens when I listen to anti-Mormon stuff, which I do. I'm giving it a fair shake from time to time. It comes up, I click on it, I listen to it. It doesn't expand my mind. It's the same old thing, the same old tropes over and over again. I don't get these mind-blowing experiences. It just doesn't happen. There is no depth to it. It is
Another
it's
an
totally
interesting
different.
thing. Sorry to interrupt you, Sword. But the
Yeah, go
interesting
ahead.
thing. So when I was like going through my whole faith crisis, as for most faith crises, what people lie about this all the time, but it was backed by doubt and or sin, right? It wasn't like the church is. It was, and so when I listened to anti-Mormon stuff, all it did was rationalize my sin. They would say the craziest things like, X, Y, and Z is actually better to do before you get married. It's healthier for your mind. Or X, Y, and Z is actually good for your body if you smoke it or drink it. And I mean, not to like, I'm not trying to like confess online, but when I started listening to anti-Mormonism, I developed addictions that they were telling me were going to be beneficial to my life. And what happened? I had to overcome literal addictions like therapy and stuff like I had to go see bishops for years and go to therapists and be like, how do I conquer this addiction? I need to get over this addiction. And it was all planted in my mind because an anti-Mormon was saying, no. It's not that bad. Like I think Alyssa Grimfield one time said, my experience with drinking coffee was the same as the first time I watched pornography. Guys, pornography is way more addictive and arousing than coffee ever will be. That's just a blatant like lie. But I took it full, like I was like, oh, it's not that deep. It's not going to affect me at all. No, guess what? It's going to affect you a lot. It's a big deal. But they hide behind this like, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. And then it ruins lives. And they don't want to be associated with the people whose lives have been ruined. They're like, oh, sex addicts, I'm not saying we should do that. It's like, yeah, drinking coffee is equivalent to looking at porn. Like, porn is just this chill, like, it's not!
Right. I got you. So one of the things that I noticed, like a pattern that I noticed with a lot of these backpedaling videos that came out after the Michigan shooting, was both John and Girls Camp, and I think Julie as well. I'm not 100% sure on Julie. But they all came out saying, I want to reconsider how I show up online and with my content online. So one of the things that I think we should do tonight as active members of the church, how would you like them to show up in the future with their content? We'll start with Sam. He gave the biggest reaction. Then we'll go Roy and then David.
You talking about from the quorum of the 12 grifters?
Oh, look at that.
It might be hard because what the thing I would say is just let it be. Just pivot your content to something else. Like that's all you got to do.
I see.
That's,
So you're
I mean,
saying just stop critiquing. So give up this poisonous dream.
Yeah.
So let go of it.
Provide an alternative.
Yeah.
They
so you're
never
saying
provide
get
an
away from the
alternative.
church.
Yeah,
Like,
all
don't
they
criticize.
all they do is tear down. And my thing would be don't pivot your tearing down to another thing. Just build something up. Build something good. Construct something. It's easy,
Right.
like most people say, it's easy to tear stuff down. It's really hard to build something up, especially something that's good. And so that would be my challenge. Like, okay, if you have this amazing lifestyle now that's anti what you were doing when you were in the church, then promote what that is so that people that can see the difference between the two things. What I'd venture to guess, though, is that it's actually not better. If I had to take a wild
You were a
guess.
gambling man.
If
Yeah.
I was a gambling man that, had been, also inactive for a decade, I would
Yeah.
venture to guess that it's not better. So
The grass is not greener on the other side.
yeah, it's artificial
Wow.
turf. No one likes artificial turf, right?
Oh,
So,
man.
it is what it is.
Scientists are shocked. All right, Roy,
Well,
what are your thoughts?
I don't know if I'm too progressive with this, but like, can you guys start talking about philosophy or something? Like, kind of what Sam was saying. Like, give someone something to like. Would you go read about nihilism or read about like something? Like, can we hear anything else that you can use to anchor morality on? Because it seems like their morality is anchored on if you disagree with the church. The stick of Joseph, the Paul brothers, when John, they said, well, what do you base your morality on? And John goes, well, a lot of it's on the church. Okay, so you're saying, John, that you base your morality off the church? And if so, then that sounds like a great place to be. But then they'll be like, well, no, I don't base my morality off what the church teaches. Some of the things I pick and choose and da-da-da. Can we throw some philosophy, do something like what David is saying that's going to expound my mind on the human nature? Like,
Yeah.
that's what philosophy is supposed to be for. And I'm not telling people leave religion and go to philosophy. But if you're going to leave religion, you have to find something to describe morality, or else morality ceases to exist. And if I can go all the way as radical as possible, just come back to church. Just come back to church. Oh my gosh.
So you want
just
them
come
to
back.
post pro LDS content?
Yeah, okay, John DeLynn, yes, pro, sure. But John DeLynn is doing this thing that I think sometimes we do need to figure out how to do better as members, is talk about people who have been abused by church leaders or whatever it may be, and figure out ways to avoid that. I think that's great. So John, just come back to church and keep trying to, and pivot a little bit your wording and be like, I love, the church is great. Let's figure out how to make it better. Just come back. Just come back.
It's interesting. I think in his book, Orthodoxy, G.K. Chesterton, he talks about how most people who say they're atheists aren't actually atheists because they actually live more like Christians. So in their thoughts, in their behavior, in their attitudes, they actually are Christians in practice, but atheists only in name only.
Yeah, I was talking with a coworker the other day. Sorry, I'm going a little long.
Yeah.
I can be a good person without religion. And I said, can you describe a good person for me? And he did. And I said, that just sounds like a Christian. And he was like, oh, touche. And I was like, so what you're saying is I can be a Christian without claiming I'm a Christian. That just, like, when people say I can be a good person, especially ex-members of the church, a lot of times they'll be like, I still don't drink coffee. I still don't drink alcohol because it's bad. It's like, yeah, so you're just trying to be a Mormon without the responsibility of it.
Right.
Like that's, so just come back. Just come. It's not that deep. Just come back.
I got you. Yeah. So you're saying let's pivot, like just give up all of that content and start creating pro content, get back into the church. We missed you. The water's fine. We won't hold it against you. Just take down the content library. Now, the problem is a lot of these people are actually making their living from the content that they're producing. So John and Alyssa and a lot of these bigger gals like Girls Camp, and when I say bigger, I don't mean large. I mean in the physical sense, just the amount of followers that they have for all those larger ladies out there who are about to call me out on that. So, so here's the deal. So they're getting monthly money from creating content, and that's why it's really interesting because they're actually chained to their hatred. They're chained to this process of deconstructing. I think we got a comment. Somebody said, like, once you start deconstructing, you rarely stop. And so you see that with a lot of people. They actually start deconstructing the church. And then they say, well, the church wasn't true. But then they just keep going and they say, well, actually, I don't believe in Jesus anymore. And then they go even further. They're like, well, I don't believe in God anymore. And then they just keep going until they get to this really nihilistic place. And it's very sad and it's very lonely. And then they look around and they're just like, man, this is terrible, you know, and then they start deconstructing other people's stuff because they have nothing else to do. They hit the bottom, smack, you know? And so that's the thing with these influencers. They're making a lot of money. And so I think that would be super hard for them to come back. It would be incredibly hard for them to pivot and to create pro content because they would have to do a career change. Like John would have to become an accountant.
Oh, dude.
Or he would actually have to go and certify as an actual therapist. He would actually have to pass some accrediting board, get some kind of license.
You know how many followers?
Have we been mislabeling John Dehlin? Is he Dr. John Dehlin?
He is.
Dr.
He has
sorry.
a PhD. However, he is not licensed as a therapist.
Why didn't
He
you
is
guys tell me?
licensed. He's certified as a life coach to avoid all the legal, financial responsibility of malpractice. And so,
Yeah.
because if someone comes at him and they're like, hey, your advice actually destroyed my life, John, then he could claim like, oh, I'm just a life coach. I wasn't an actual licensed therapist. So that's a problem in itself, but let's check out some of the chats
Dr.
here.
John Dehlin.
Okay, so here's how other people would like for these sweet ex-members, anti-members to show up online. So we have, let's see, Kiori says, talk about how you're so much closer to Jesus Christ now that you left his only true church. Ooh, good point. Gamblelicious, tough challenge for them because all they do is deconstruct. The grass is greener where you water it. Let's see. Jeffrey Borders said, it's like a political ads campaign. They never try to share the good things. They only tear down the other. So I'm looking for suggestions, people. Give me suggestions. You can't get good fruit from a corrupt tree. Picking and choosing ethics is not the same as having ethics. Maybe John and Alyssa can open up a Crumble franchise. Hey, there we go. That's a suggestion. Start posting content about Crumble. Your journey to become a Crumble business owner. John and Alyssa, wouldn't that be great? They could tag
You know how
team,
many
they could
followers?
say-
You know how many followers John would get if he came back?
No, and that's the thing. No,
Stop. He would get so many.
yeah, and that's the thing.
He would
Like,
get so many.
as somebody like Alyssa Grunfeld, you know, like what she's doing, in my estimation, is if you want to talk about deconstructing, she's literally removing the drywall screws right now. And then when
Yeah.
she's done with that, she's going to slowly take off the drywall, and she's slowly doing it step by step. But I will say, when she gets down to the foundation and she realizes, because I have a sneaky suspicion eventually she's going to realize the faults in her ways, yeah, she'll have a huge following when she comes back to the church. I agree with you, Roy. Like, I think that it won't be as big because there is a cap, there is a funnel for this, right? You're going to lose all of your I don't want to say ex-member friends. You're going to lose all the people that were never LDS. You're going to lose all those followers. That's the 200K of followers that you have. That's that buffer. Those are people that have never been a part of the church that hate watch your content. So,
Right, because
we can still talk about
It's also anti-Christians. It's also not anti-Christians.
Yes.
It's also
Atheists.
the
Atheists
people
that hate us,
from Mark Driscoll's crew too.
Yes.
Like people, Baptists, other denominations are out there. They love that content.
They need to
eat it
know
for
about
breakfast.
the church. They need to know about the
They
church.
do. Yeah. And so they would be walking away from all of that. But I do think that they should start up we could call it like a de Grenfell. Wouldn't that be great? Like de Grenfell's crumble cookies. It sounds a little Italian. Sounds, you know, like maybe the cookies are a little bit, maybe they're a little crusty. Maybe they're a little, you know, a little bit too much salt in there or something. I don't know. But
think about
we
it,
could
John.
talk about that journey.
Lacking salt.
Since 2013, John's been working
too
on helping
sweet.
people deconstruct. Now he can spend the next 10 years helping people reconstruct. John, that's a lot of money. You know,
Yeah.
if it's a money thing, you know,
Same
you
clientele.
help people
Same clientele.
Yeah,
Just
you get the same
working
people
from the
coming
other end.
back. Yeah, let's do it.
You
Let's
made the
do
problem,
it.
and then you spend the next 30 years fixing the problem that you made.
Yeah. So Brother of Jared says we should not be giving them views. And I agree. Like, I don't think members should be going out of their way to look these people up. However, one of the things that I've noticed is that these guys will hijack all of the hashtags for members. So their content, if you follow Utah or BYU or Provo or church or LDS church or Christian or faith journey, any of those, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS, any of those tags, if you follow any of those, or if the algorithm thinks you would like content from any of those, it will start spewing that into your feed. So this is a takeaway for the average dad in the church, is teach your kids proper etiquette around how to deal with that. So if you see anti-content, this is the best practice. Just keep on swiping. Just keep swiping away. Actually, for the average dad, teaching their kids about social media, just tell them to get off of social media. Just like, hey, you see that Instagram account? It's gone. Boom. Look at that. You are now a happier, healthier teenager because of it. I would say that would be my takeaway. Now, David, can you hear us?
I can, yeah. Sorry for technical difficulties. I'm in and out here, but I'm back.
No worries. Yeah, so what are your thoughts when it comes to how ex-members and anti-members should show up online? What should they do to pivot their content?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a lot to add, but I did love Curie's point. Grass is greener where you water it, and they're watering it over there. But if you just water it over here, the grass will be greener over here. I definitely think that I like the star-bellied sneeches type of thing. I don't know if you know the Dr. Seuss book called Star-Bellied Sneeches. So you have the sneeches that go in, they get the stars, and then they come out and they go to the other machine, and the stars get taken off their bellies, and all the star-bellied sneeches think the non-star-bellied sneeches are the cool ones, and vice versa, and then they're just going around in this big loop. Anyways, John Dehlin has become one of the star-bellied sneeches, I suppose, and now he can be a non-star-bellied sneech. Anyway, if you haven't read the book, you don't know what I'm talking about, but he could certainly work the other side of this thing.
About. So what the
just as
star-belly
successful.
is, the star-belly these days is victim status, all right? So among the anti-crowds, it's victim status. That's what they've been putting on their big bellies. They've been saying, hey, victim, right here, me, victim. And then other people are like, oh, look at, so if you have a victim, you need to have an oppressor. But what happens when the oppressor becomes the victim? Like what we saw with this shooting. So the church then came out and they're like, hey, no victim status here. They did not have the star. And everyone else was like, oh crap, we need to come out on the opposite of this. And that's why every single one of them were like the star-belly sneeches saying, actually, we don't hate these guys. We love these guys. Ha ha, we're just like these guys. Because that's the mentality that they're in. You know, it's a race to the bottom of that victim ladder. You know, whoever's more oppressed. And in that moment, the church was more oppressed than all of them in their upbringings and in their traumas and stuff like that. We are getting close to the hour, so we're probably going to wrap it up pretty soon. But average take for dads in the age of 2025 when it comes to these anti-members trying to rebrand, stepping away from the church, saying like, hey, I want to reconsider how I show up. Sam, as an average father, what do you consider is the takeaway from this discussion?
Yeah, so I don't know about the whole social thing, right? Like, obviously, there's an age for that. There's an appropriate age for social media, I think.
Yeah.
With a correct understanding of how to use it, right, appropriately. But I think that's with anything, right? Like, teach them correct principles, and they'll govern themselves. I think that applies with your children as well. If you're teaching them, then when they watch content like, you know, when Dr. Julie Hanks is talking, and you can point out like, oh, there's your flaw, right, in your thinking, because you thought this, which led to this. Right? But if they don't know why a person can arrive at that conclusion or at that understanding, I think they can start to kind of adopt some of these things. And then once again, you'll have people like Dr. Dehlin teaching your children, right, through social media. And so, yeah, I think, you know, Jeff Borders, and he's been in the chat, obviously. His book, The Antichrist Playbook, man, read that. If you're a parent, read that book. Like it's a good book. It'll get your mind right to kind of have this discussion with your kids. But to be honest, like there was a lot of backpedaling, and honestly, I agree with you guys. I want to see them come back. Like I truly do want to see them come back. And I have a sneaky suspicion a lot of them will come back. Like I truly do believe that. And so it's just, and so I just smack my head up against the wall every time I have to like watch their content or see their content, because I'm just like, there's nothing there. It's a bottomless pit. There's nothing there. I promise you that. I guarantee it. There's nothing there. We've all
love that.
We've experienced it. There's nothing
so
there.
You're saying, let's maybe instead of, because we used to be able to as children, I think the main advice was what we read in First Nephi. We heeded them not, right?
Yeah.
And so like back in the day, the advice was just like, hey, just you don't have to worry about these guys. Like, don't worry about those guys. Just stay rooted in your own life. Keep moving forward towards your goals, right? And I think these days, once people start getting on social media, I don't know that they are going to have an option of heeding these people. I think at some point or another, they're going to watch somebody either intentionally or unintentionally that is an anti, who is working against the purposes of the church. I think as parents, in the age of 2025, it's our job to teach our children how to think critically about the arguments that are being presented from that side, and to help our children see the fruits, help our children to consider the path of their feet as well as the feet of other people, so that they can see, like, you see, that this is their path, that's where it's going. It's really sad. It's a sad, dark place. They're really sad people that are chained to an algorithm right now. They are slaves to the algorithm. And you don't want to be there. You want to be over here. You see these happy people that have families and tight communities that are teaching their children virtues and discipline and helping to incur joys beyond their wildest imaginations. That's where you want to be. That's where you want to be. So I would say that's a great takeaway. Roy, what are your thoughts?
Hold to the rod, baby. Hold to the rod. And that you can get through any mist of darkness, any ridicule, anything, if you hold to the rod. And what is the rod? The rod's the word. Who is the word, baby? It's Jesus. If you're forgetting Jesus when you see these if you're forgetting him, first off, you're not going to love him. You're going to be like, I freaking hate this person. This sucks. Yeah. And you're going to crumble. You're going to lose your foundation. So hold to the rod. The rod is Christ. Remember that guy. He's not going to let you go. It's all about Jesus, baby. Stop.
There it is. I love it. David, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll keep it short, but just to be able to consider in ourselves and our families and kids, and among also, brothers and sisters are affected by these things too, and even parents. So I like what you said, Roy, hold to the rod. You also brought up the mist of darkness, but just consider where that's leading you if you're not holding to the rod, rather than kind of going along and it sounds like a good soundbite. I'm going to kind of eat up this little morsel right now and enjoy it, and eat up another little morsel later. Well, where's that going to lead you down the road, right? What's the end result of that versus the end result of life and salvation that's offered in the church? And after we obviously need to be able to consider ourselves not only in the moment that we're living in right now, but where are we going? So that's where I'll leave it.
I love it. Okay, we are getting close to the hour. Do we have any chats that we need to catch up on before we head out?
There's some good. There's some.
Let's see.
Some gold.
There is.
Okay, let me. I got it pulled up here.
What did Kiori said? But there is a possibility that man may Grenfell from grace and depart from the living God.
Ooh, look at that. Adam Grenfell, that man might be. Love that. Awesome, yeah. So we got that. Kiori, I love, he's been on fire this podcast. He said, go touch grass, and I think that is great. I think that's a great message for everybody, especially a lot of these anti-people like, hey, let's get back into community. Be more community focused. Stop trying to tear down beautiful things. Stop trying to tear down things that are producing joy and creating strong families and healthy communities, because it may not be the main reason why someone commits an act that is as heinous as what we saw in Michigan, but it may not stop that act either. And so that is something that you need to consider. That might be something that he just uses to say, well, I've got another reason now. You know, there's another reason. So I think that's a great place to wrap it up. So thank you all gentlemen, and you fine members of the chat for showing up tonight. We've got Sam St. Laurent at Through the Mist. Be sure to check out his channel and subscribe. Got Roy at the Iron Rodcast. Check out his channel as well. And we've got David at the Sword of Laban. So please check out his channel as well. I'm Hayden Holm, and this is Salty Saints. We'll see ya.